and today the subject of the lecture is puppy healing and how to avoid the common mistakes in training. I want to say first a few words before we start this lecture, and first of all, I'm so excited to be here because we have people from more than 25 different countries participating. Warm welcome here, and I want to remind you that meanwhile I'm speaking to you, I can't read the comments, but you can ask any questions. You can scroll down this page and you will find there is this kind of leave a reply, a comment box, and you can write your question there. And even I can't answer right now I will then, after the lecture is over, we will have this questions and answers time, and I will go through all the comments and I will answer all the questions then. And I have counted approximately 1 hour time for this. Okay, so let's go forward. I will now share my screen so you can see my presentation. There we go. I hope you can all see it. All right, so I start from these typical problems, what we can see in the training field. And I will see this in my private training. I will see it also in the seminars and workshops all over the world. So despite we have a lot of information available nowadays, we have a lot of Facebook videos, Instagram videos. We have private dog training schools offering a lot of information. It's still difficult to get the dogs doing perfect healing, and those typical problems what we see is that the dogs, they are too lowly motivated, they are not cooperative, or perhaps they are not so excited about the reward, they don't want the food enough, or they don't want to have the toy enough. Or the second option is we have this kind of hyperactivity, impulsivity problems. We have dogs who work too hectic. They have negative stress in their work. Perhaps they are whining. They can be unfocused. They can be restless or under pressure. Then we have, of course, this kind of technical problems in healing. We have a lot of dogs who heal in crooked position. We have dogs who are fouching, who are bouncing, or who are leaning. So these are the most common problems what we see. And so we can start now from the first one of them, these motivation problems and how to avoid it. And I think the most common mistake what the handlers are doing is that they don't let their dogs to be enough active. So the handlers are too active by themselves. They are luring their dogs too much. And then the second typical problem what we have is that the dogs are not enough motivated. They're not so motivated about food, especially with young puppies. We are using food as a reward, and of course the solution should be that we should increase the dog's food motivation as much as we can, that they really want to heal to get the food. And the second problem could be, of course, also that the dogs are not excited about playing enough, and still the handler is using the toy as a reward. And then of course it takes a longer time to increase this play motivation. And then the third problem is that the handlers, they are too boring. They don't offer enough sensations. And this is usually also the solution to this problem, that if we want to increase dogs' motivation to toy or food, how we can do that. Of course, it's also partly genetic. So some dogs, they just have low food drive. And some dogs, they never learn to love playing. But of course, the dogs, they need to have either one of these, like high enough that the training can be ethically correct and right. Of course, we will not train those dogs to this sport who don't have any motivation for anything, then they are happier at home. But many times this reward motivation is low because the handlers are too boring. Okay, so by learning to use more emotions, and making this eating session or playing session more exciting to the dog, we can increase the motivation too. Then the fourth thing is using pauses. I see this a lot in the fields, that handlers, they are all the time walking. So when they are basically luring their dogs, they say, "Oh, please come here." The dog has to follow them. And when the dog is then actively following the handler immediately starts to walk again, but now in the heeling position. And now the dog is eating the food during heeling. And immediately when the heeling is over, the handler starts to back up again and move backwards. And so the dog has like absolutely no pauses there. And this can be quite exhausting to young puppies. And also, if we want to highlight some moments, we want to make these sensational moments for the dog, we can stop, be completely passive, like, oi, good, little pause, breathing in, waiting a couple of seconds, free. Then we can run backwards and feed the dog and give a lot of good emotions for the dog. These kind of moments, they can make the training much more exciting for the puppy. And also these pauses, they are very important when we want to enhance the focus. Both that the dog is focused on the handler and very excited to keep the eye contact, but also if we want to enhance the focus on the target, for example, food hand target or toy target. Then the fifth problem, what causes the motivation problem, is that handler is doing too long and too difficult exercises compared to the dog skills or the education level or the motivation. So we always should observe dog's emotional state and keep the exercise short and easy enough. Then this negative stress problem, when we want to improve this situation, when we want our dogs to be very happy, very excited, very inspired, still focused, still calm, still able to control themselves, we have to learn to, first of all, read our dog's rights and constantly observe our dog's emotional state during the training sessions. And this means that we know those signals, what the dog is showing to us when he feels good or whether he feels not so good. And these kind of things are, for example, tail can be up and wagging, the ears are more up, the eyes are bright, the dog is having like open eyes, the dog is breathing normally, not panting continuously, or drooling too much, or rolling the tongue, or getting too tense with his body. But we also have to understand, or for example, licking the lips. But we also have to understand that one sign separately doesn't mean that the dog is under stress. So it can be that the dog is, for example, licking his lips because he's just expecting food. Or the tail is down. We know many border collies who can have like really, really beautiful, if you look at their face, they are fully concentrated, they have ears up, their eyes are very focused, they are ready to do something super fun next, but the tail can be very low. So the tail also is not alone indicating that the dog has a bad feeling. But then we always have to observe the other signs. How does the dog look from the whole body, and how is the bodily expression in situations? Then the second thing is that the handler is improving her or his emotional communication skills. This basically means like acting skills, like the actors are doing. Dogs are our co-actors, and the handler should learn to use the body, control the body very well. Also using different praising voices. Like I'm using like 6 different praising voices. I can calm my dog. I can excite my dog really a lot. I can flirt a little bit to my dog, or I can frustrate. I can make my dog jealous with my voice. So I can use different emotions to get my dog excited or get my dog more calm, get my dog more harmonic, depending what I need in different situations. And of course, the better we are using our emotional communication skills, our body expressions, our voice, also we can really improve dogs' quality of life, dogs' emotional state in training. And we can also find much more deeper connection with the dog. And also the dog can feel that, oh, finally somebody really understands me. And the communication comes so much better. And then it's also possible, especially important with high-driven working dogs, that the handler can also one time say to the dog, no, you can't do something, because the handler can then immediately make the dog feeling good again. Then, how we can avoid negative stress in training is to strengthen dogs' cooperation skills. And this means that we are not like a food automat, and neither we are just like the ball automat, that we teach the dog to, for example, when I have fed my puppy in the training and I stop giving the food for my dog, that if I turn a little bit away, that my pup follows me, takes an eye contact, and searches cooperation. And then I can reward my dog from that. So we also have to teach the dog to be always active after we have rewarded it. And it has to be done separately, both with prey and both with food. So dog can be very, very cooperative with food, but then when we play with the dog, then the dog changes to be very uncooperative, and he only wants to have the ball to himself, and he doesn't want to let out and stuff like that. And this is, of course, it's something what the handler has taught to the dog and didn't remember to enhance these skills. But it's very important part before we start to use the toy as a reward in healing. Then we have to also understand when we should offer more help to the dog and more external support, especially with more impulsive dogs, with more sensation-seeking dogs. It's important that we just don't leave them alone in difficult situations. Otherwise, the stress level rises very fast up, and the frustration kicks in, and then the dog starts to do all kind of negative things and feel bad, and then it's not so easy anymore to get it back down and calm the dog. So we have to take care that what kind of dog we have, whether we should like do more shaping with the dog, or whether we should support the dog when it's needed. And then the fifth one is of course clear and consistent handling, and that means that the dog can always trust the handler and rely on the handler. The handler is very clear with his messages with the body, and knows how to use the poses, and also if something is forbidden, it's always forbidden, and not so that the handler lets the dog to do mistakes at home, but then in the training field, there he corrects the dog, or expects another kind of behavior, or vice versa. And then I go a little bit for this position problem. So one of the most typical problem we have is this crooked heeling. And usually we can say that, well, I just taught it myself, this to the dog. So usually it's the handler's fault. And it comes because the handler is keeping the hand way too front, already with little puppies, when he lets them lower the food from the hand. And even the hand would be in the right position. I see this so many times in the seminars. When the handler rewards the dog, then he actually gives the food when the dog has turned and twisted the head more in front. So basically, if we do this like, let's say I do 10 repetitions with a little puppy each day, in 30 days I have done already 300 repetitions. And that means after half year of training, I have done 1,800 repetitions. So we should not reward the mistakes. We should not reward the dog when he's too front. And we also should not keep repeating that, because we so condition the wrong position, and we show to the dog that that's the good thing to be more in front. And then this teach your dog to go behind enough it maybe makes not so much sense for you. So I'm going to show you a video which helps me to explain this to you. But I always teach my young puppies, starting from the 7 weeks old, that they go like a left circle, and they go really behind me, and there they are searching the right basic position. So I will not station and place my hand where it should be in the beginning, like next to my leg. I will actually station my hand really behind my knee. But let's go a bit further so you will see. And here in this video, you will see a puppy who does some mistakes, and I will not reward him from these mistakes. And then you will see how I fix the problem and how I let the dog try again, and then reward the dog from the right criteria. So the dog tries to do a shortcut, and I want the pup go more behind, and now he did. This was the correct position, but now the dog stays too front. So I want the pup to go more behind, and still he first came to front, and now that's exactly where I want my dog to go, more behind, and there offer the sit. And here I can have a little pause so I can explain you. So here, this was like a handler mistake, clear handler mistake. I went too close by the door. And that's why the little puppy, he didn't want to come so close. He didn't want to go so behind me. And then you will see how I realized it afterwards myself. And then I came more in the middle of the room. And he also jumps. Okay, no reward from that. I'm also all the time, even the dog is doing mistake, I'm very careful offering any too negative feedback for the dog, because I don't want my puppy to feel uncomfortable. I want him to feel that, okay, that was not enough, but please try a little bit more. So I try to keep the training very positive to the pup. Then we went a little bit backwards because it also. And now this was perfect. So here you can also see that I was we ended to the success in the end of the training. So in the beginning, the dog did some mistakes, but then eventually he offered a very nice position, and I only rewarded him from the right criteria. Okay, then the next question, I'm often asked why I'm using the right hand, why I'm not using the left hand. So 100% sure, you also can teach your dog to do excellent heeling with your left hand. The reason why I am using the right hand is because I can teach my dog from early beginning to ignore the left hand, like it will be in the competitions. My left hand will be on the left side, and I want my dog to heel basically between my left hand and my body. And when I have my left hand free, it's also free to help the dog. So I can hold the dog with my left hand, prevent the dog to come to the basic position, increase a little bit like more drive, a little bit more motivation. I can also help the dog to find a rhythm, because if my left hand is low there, close to the dog's head, I can prevent him from jumping. And it's easier to change for a toy reward later. So the only difference will be that I will have instead of the food in my hand, I will now have the toy. So it's super easy, and I would recommend trainers to use it at least when they are teaching the basic position, because I understand we have also individual handlers, and some handlers it can be very difficult to use the right hand and be so crooked themselves in the beginning, but in the basic position, I think everybody can do that. And if you are using the right hand, then how the hand then should be. So basically, I was holding the dog gently with my left hand. We have to realize this, that if we have very sensitive dogs, they can feel it as a pressure. So we have to be very careful with that. And then we position our right hand far behind the knee, about 20-30 centimeter distance from our body. And I let the dog to be active himself and search the position, so that I will not lure the puppy behind my body. I basically show the food, position the right hand back behind me, and then I let the dog search his position there. And immediately, when my pup goes behind the hand, I reward the dog with a lot of emotions, and I give the food, of course, then I give it close to my trousers seam, so close by me. And here is now a little video of that. So the hand is there, and here comes the food. So this is what I meant. Also with a slow motion. So you can see that the hand was already a little bit more higher. And when the dog was searching his position without bouncing, going behind enough and very motivatedly, then my hand came low just when the pup was coming to the basic position, because I wanted to prevent him from jumping, from bouncing. And then I rewarded my dog immediately, and then I rose the hand up, and then I brought it back down and fed my puppy again, and so on. Also, how I release my dog, it happens after little focus. So not immediately when I give the food, but after little focus. But here you can see the slow motion. So here was the left hand helping, and then the pup comes to the basic position. And you can also see how the hand is not going to front, it stays more behind. It also rises more behind, up to the dog's nose, feeds the puppy, and the last time free. Yeah. But this will come back a little bit later, so I go now further. Hey, sorry. So I have to keep you excited about seeing this video. Very fair game. So forging and healing, that's the fourth most common problem. Maybe you have sometimes heard somebody having this problem. So here is the same. We should reward the dog from right things. So reward the dog when he really goes behind enough and never puts his head in front of the handler's knees and then coming back again, and so on. So we should be very clear with our criterion. And it's also really important that we first teach the dog to do the perfect basic position, and then we teach the healing, so that the dog learns first to search the right position, straight line, behind enough, very motivatedly, without bouncing. And then the third thing is that it's very important to use a target and enhance dogs' focus on it. I think most of problems what I see is that dogs, they when the target hand goes higher, the dog actually wants to have the eye contact on the handler, because the handler hasn't rewarded the dog so much from the perfect target contact. And healing, I don't want my dogs to offer the eye contact in this moment, because later I'm also not watching my dog. I'm going to watch forward. And the eye contact gets most of dogs getting more front and a little bit more crooked too. So I would use a target focus and enhance a lot and reward the dog a lot from this. And like I showed you in the video, I start this training when my puppies are 7 weeks old. And like I told, I do 10 repetitions each day, maybe one in the morning, maybe another 10 in the evening. So perhaps I do it 20 times in a day. So my puppy gets 600 times like a reinforced and reward from a perfect target healing in the basic position. And then when my puppy is around 12 weeks old, I can already start to do healing, perhaps a little bit earlier already, because he already has like 300 repetitions. But this amount of repetitions also, it has to be done right. Then the target should be removed step by step. Typical mistake I see is that handlers are luring their dogs. They have the foot hand down, close to the dog's nose the first 1 year. Then they start to get really in hurry and they want to go to the PH. And then they want to take the target away suddenly within like 1 month. And then the dog should be perfect in healing within 1 month. And then maybe the trial is already when the dog is like 15 months old. And of course, it is not possible to do it so fast. And then usually we have to pay the price that the dog comes a little bit to front and starts to do forging or being a bit crooked or something like this. Then that's why my advice is that use your time wisely. 1 year is a long time, but I definitely wouldn't train only this kind of like hand down and lure the dog 12 months because it makes no sense. It's needed to do it only a couple of days. And of course, some dogs, we have to understand that the training is individual. So we cannot go so fast forward what we have done with Mahis, for example. But I will explain you this later, like how and why and how we can understand those different and use those different interventions with different learners. Let's go forward to the lessening the hand signal. So I think Mahis is perhaps here, I don't know, 8 weeks, 9 weeks old. And you can see here now the hand is already up. So this is already this kind of target healing, but not healing, but the basic position and enhancing the dog's focus on the target. Here I was rewarding the dog from a good cooperation and eye contact. So even I start to teach exercises to my puppies, like how to a trick, how to come to the basic position. I don't only train this, I also train in the same training session the cooperation game. That if I have rewarded my puppy and then again he comes and he's searching the eye contact, I reward my dog from that. And then perhaps the next time I can reward him by letting him do the basic position search. Okay, we can. He was a bit older, Mahis. He really wanted to anticipate the basic position, so I had to hold and reward him a couple of times from waiting phase. And the hand was now here already more high up.
Wow, you got that.
And you can also keep attention when you watch these videos later. Perhaps you have fun to watch this one more time. Then you can also notice that always when I reward my dog, I try to reward him like I don't bring my hand down so that he would drop the contact. So when he still keeps his head up, there he gets the food. So keeping the head up makes more sense for my dogs. Okay, so here is a little quote. There are many reasons why to choose the by finish, and as many reasons to avoid it when starting your healing. So people often say, oh, but I don't want my dog to do this kind of by finish, like a flip turn. I want my dogs to go around me. And I agree. I think I'm also teaching my dogs to go do this by finish, go around me after recalls and after retrieves. But that's a completely different exercise. So I'm separating them. And the reason why I never let my dog start the healing, so that first they go around and behind me and then they take the basic position, is that it usually works pretty nicely when you still have your hand target down. But when your hand target is up here, it can happen that the dog is crooked. And if the dog has never learned to do the left circle and search the position, because the left circle enhances the dog's straight body position. And then I can say my dog, if my dog comes crooked one day, I can say, go again, go more behind, go around on the left side and search your position. And then my dog, of course, he knows this, so they will not lose their hope. They try to improve it, they come more straight next time, and then I can reward them. But if the dog has learned to go always around me, so if I say, you must do it again, and my dog goes around me, he most surely will be again more crooked, because now he's a bit more insecure and perhaps he wants to have a bit more confirmation from my face or something. So this right circle, of course, is not the perfect idea to start your healing. And so the left circle is only in the beginning of the healing, but the right roundabout is to finish one exercise. So I train these things separately. And also there is one more reason why to avoid it, and that is that if you always start your healing by letting your dog first go around you, the same what you are using after your recalls and retrieves, which happens, by the way, 5 times in the IGP3, that means that you do it so many times without rewarding your dog, because you want to start the healing, so you will not give an adult dog any more reward from that. And then often it happens that it comes a little bit slower, so you can basically ruin the motivation and lower your dog's motivation to do the finish by starting your healings always with that. So that's the reason for this, so that I would avoid when I'm training puppies. Then bouncing in healing, and that is also quite typical to see with high-driven dogs. And it's very easy to say that reward only the right rhythm. So be very consistent in this. I'm really careful that I always try to look that my dog has all 4 legs on the ground and he will not do bouncing. And the first thing when I'm teaching my dog is to search the perfect basic position without bouncing. If my dog can do this, and he can do this so that my hand is already up, high up there, I'm going to show you videos later, then I can start the healing. And I can do like 1-step healing first, and I can do 2 steps and 3 steps, my hand up. And I think it's very important to use clear hand signals. That means the hand is either low or it's clearly high, but it's not something between. Usually the bouncing is coming because the handler's hands are restless. They are not hard enough to stay low, so when the dog is pushing a little bit on the hand, the handler let the hand move, and that makes the head position also more hectic, and then the handler is just happy because the dog is so active and he rewards the dog. And the fourth most typical problem which causes this kind of bouncing healing is that the dog is biting the food hand. And when the dog is biting the food hand, he cannot focus on the rhythm, because all the energy goes like, how could I get this food? I'm biting a little bit harder. Maybe then he gives it to me. And it's important to focus on the rhythm, and that's really not what I want. So we should prevent dog biting the food hand. And I'm gonna tell in the next slide how to do that. And then, of course, another problem which can cause bouncing healing is that we are removing the hand target not systematically. The dog hasn't yet learned even the basic position without bouncing. And then we already take the hand away and are wondering why the dog is doing the bouncing. So, biting. It's a bit ironic that most of the cases, the handler is very happy because the dog is so greedy and so hungry, and that's why like the dog is like biting the hand. But the reality is that very often it's actually not on this way. It's often on this way that the dog is not so motivated. He's a little bit hectic, a little bit more like coming very easily frustrated when he doesn't immediately get the food. So he loses his focus and he starts to bite the handler's hand. And then the handler wants to help the dog and offers the food. So basically the dog learns that, if I get a little bit frustrated, I just start biting my handler's hand and she's stupid enough, she will give me the food. So we should, and then, okay, the second thing is that the handler has restless hand. We sometimes have really greedy dogs, but the handler is a bit restless and inconsistent with her hands. Hectic hands, they move a little bit. The food is whatever, wherever, and whenever the food comes, So the food tipples are too soft or small. The handler is varying what kind of food she is using. Then the handler is positioned the food in different places in the hand. Sometimes they are between the thumb and the front finger. Sometimes they can be somewhere in the middle of the palm. And then if the food is very soft, the dog can always grab it whenever he feels and pleases. So if we want to avoid this biting problem, it's super simple when we have 7 weeks old puppy and we start immediately then, and we don't first create this problem bigger. So we should use enough hard and big kibbles, which means that we can put them in our palms so that they are a little bit like between the thumb and the front finger, and the thumb can be pointing out, and we can basically close our fist and open it again, and the food is staying there. It doesn't drop out because the kibble is big enough. And the food place should be always the same. If we have more food than 1 or 2, then we can have them a little more, basically in the same position, but a little bit more in the middle, because then they stay, because they are like leaning against each other's. Then we can have more closer hand with this kind of puppies who try to bite. We can even make a fist if needed, and teach that when the dog is really focused on the hand. That's important to remember. We have to reward only from good focus. And there must be physical contact without biting, and a good focus. And the dog has to hold it, like maybe we start from the basic position. The dog is only sniffing and only licking if so, but definitely not biting. And then the dog can do, for example, next step can be that the dog is doing 1 step and holding a perfect focus and keep the focus. And then we click and we open the hand and give the food. But it's quite easy to teach to all dogs not to do that, but we just have to be very consistent from early beginning. They learn very fast to be naughty and bite the handler's hand. Then the 6th most typical problem is leaning in the heeling. And it also comes from a wrong and unstable hand position. So often the handler have first of all the hand too close to his body. And here is a good picture. You can see that there is a little bit distance between the handler's leg and also the dog's mouth. So there is no physical contact between dog's head and handler's legs, because the hand is placed more far away from the body, and that can, and when the handler's hand is always very stable and similar, we can stabilize the dog's head. So don't reward from body contact, and also don't overtrain left turns with puppy age. And if you train left turns, try to avoid pulling the dog with a food hand too close to your body, and especially if you are using clicker, you can accidentally reinforce something what you don't want. So that's good to remember. Here you have an open hand in this picture, but like I said, if we have this kind of dog who is biting a lot the hand, then the hand has to be immediately more closer, so that the dog has no direct contact to the food. And now here I have mentioned individual solutions, and that means we have different dog breeds, and perhaps also now during this lecture we have some handlers who have let's say Staffordshire Bull Terrier or Labrador Retriever, and some of you maybe have a German Shepherd or Malinois. So most often, like German Shepherds, Malinois, they have this leaning problem. And then we can have some dogs who want to naturally keep more distance, like many bull breeds or retrievers. Not all, but some, they want to have a bit more distance. So then with those dogs, we maybe actually even have to sometimes teach them to come a little bit closer and actually reward them from having the body contact. So it's not so written in the stone. We have to vary our methods according to dog's personality and what might be the problem of the dog. So now we can watch once again this video which I started before, and here you can see how did I start. So there we go, hand goes up, and of course the puppy, you see, it's very young, so he tries to follow the hand when it goes up. And of course I try to teach my dog that he needs to stay there, so I'm rewarding my puppy very frequently and always push the legs a bit more back onto the ground. And here we start from one step healing. I can go a little bit back. So now you can see that I already started here the healing with one step hand up. And also when I raise my hand up, I can close the fist. Even I would reward my dog with a more open hand. I can close the hand. So it's a clear signal for the dog that do not try to bounce. If you bounce, nothing is going to come to you. You only get the food when you keep your legs on the ground. It was a bit in the fist, you can see. But only one step. And then the hand comes down. And the left hand is never pushing or leading the dog. It can be very slight touch what I'm doing. It has to be very comfortable. Nothing what the dog can feel pressure. And a little bit social rewarding also. And here, in the next video, I teach my dog to learn. I teach my dog to wait after sitting. And now when the dog is coming to the basic position, I still put my hand down that I'm preventing the bouncing, but I don't give the food. Then I put my hand one more time up and back down before rewarding. So here it goes there and then it comes down. And a slow motion so you can see. Oh, that was so brilliant, because now he did it first time. Oh, I don't know if it was the first time, but first times, something like this. He did it like by himself, so he offered the sits. And of course, then we let our dogs to feel that they have done something extraordinary well. So you can see here the hand was up and it didn't come down, and he offered to sit. And here you can also see that the dog was, oh, now something happened. How did I come here? I was a little bit, just a moment. Technical issue, hello. Let's go back to the screen. Let's go back to here. I don't know what happened. There we go. I just really wanted to go it back. So I go here because I cannot, there is some mark to myself. So we go a little bit backwards. sorry for showing this to you twice, but it's maybe 1 minute.
Oi, mite hieno, super vapusolityvä.
So the next is this. I wanted to stop the video here and explain you. So you can see here that Mahis is actually already healing here a little bit on my left side without bouncing. And then I put my hand there and he did few more steps and then I reward him. Now a few more steps and now the hand goes down. Now we had a little bit faster speed. Now it was a little problem for him. He was a little bit too excited.
Oi, mite hieno, super.
And so we should always observe our dog. Do they need more motivation or should we enhance more the self-control? So if we start to feel that, okay, this puppy in this training session is a little bit more tired, or perhaps we have more passive type of dog, so we need to enhance more the motivation and reward the dog from just being more pushy, trying to search the basic position, do a short healing, and then a fast reward. And then if we feel that we have a dog who is very active, but we need to improve the dog's self-control, that he learns to wait and focus in the position, then we can reward the dog more from that. And each dog will have both of these moments. So some training session in the evening can be that my dog is more tired and I basically only reward him because I realize, okay, my dog is not in the perfect mood now. So I'm only letting him do a couple of heels, reward him immediately from that, nothing too difficult. And then tomorrow morning can be that then he's really active and even trying to bounce a little bit. And then I can reward him more from the waiting phase. So sometimes immediately food. Ta-da. Now I started to do healing a little bit. So there was already, now this was not anymore the basic position, but now when the dog was searching the basic position, I let him do 1-2 steps healing and then I rewarded him. So he searches the position here and 1-2 and hand comes down. Then the social reward, when and how. So when we have a dog who is like cooperative and enjoys the touching and the social reward, most of dogs I think are a little bit on this type. We have some exceptions, like my older dog Inspis. He definitely didn't enjoy of that and didn't see any kicks out of that. I think he was wagging his tail first time when he was 14 months old, when I was praising him. But in Mahi's case, he enjoys of that. But I'm careful that when the dog comes to the basic position, I will not put any physical pressure here. So you see, I'm praising him a lot, of course, and rewarding like this. But then I go out of the position. No. And then when the dog comes closer, then we can give this social reward time and say, oh, you were so good. But it is really important that the puppy can himself decide if he wants to come. Then we don't take any risks that we are putting unnecessary pressure to the healing or to the basic positions, because maybe the dog is not in that mood that he wants to now come and let us pet him. Maybe they are more in the food gaining business. So that's why it's important that we will always observe the dog and be careful how and when we are touching the dog and kissing him. So it was dog's decision to come, and so then we can let him do that. Now, oh, wow, 3 steps healing. Yeah. Mice is like, I don't know, 9 weeks old. something like this here. And then a little pause more. And here another thing, you can see this a lot in these videos, that I really teach my dogs that when the healing ends or when we do the basic position, and that actually, I do this in the normal life too. It doesn't matter if it's a recall or basic position or healing or something. If I want to enhance the focus, I will never set my dog free after giving the food. I will first raise the hand up, and often I, by the way, reward my dog once again, but then again I raise the hand up. So my puppy is waiting for getting more food. And then I set the dog free. So when the hand is up, after pause, after focus on the target, then I go away and I walk away from the basic position myself, and the dog follows me. You can see it here. And also in the other videos here. Hand up. There was a little pause. Of course, with the young puppies, it's a really, really short pause. With the older dogs, it can be a little bit longer. But with young puppies, of course, we have to set them free before they do the mistake. So we cannot wait and it's not needed to wait like 10 seconds. It's only that please be cooperative, focus on my hand target, and then you will get something fun from that. No need. So every dog is unique, so must be the training. Don't train the dog the way you want to, train the way it needs. And that is really important. Often the handlers, they just have some perfect method in their head, and they really want to follow that method. And it can be that I only want to use the positive reinforcement, and I never want to, for example, I want to only shape my dogs, and I don't want to help my dog and offer some support if needed. But that's never good, because we don't know what kind of dog we have. And some dogs we can shape in some moments, some training sessions with them, but in another moment, maybe they need more external support and guidelines and help from the handler. So it's really important that we always choose the methods according to our dog's personality. And we need to adjust our own method and learn to use different methods if we want to reach the top level with many dogs after each others. So every single time when we have a new dog, we have to do something a bit differently than with the previous one. And here I will show you two puppies. The other one is Mahis, who has been also in the other videos here. And the first dog here is Mauri. Mauri is Mahis' brother. And these two brothers, they are here 7 weeks old. They are still at the breeder, so I'm the breeder, so they were at my house. The food what I'm using here is not good one. It was some super small puppy food, and it was dropping a little bit down. However, you will see the difference between these dogs, the kind of personality difference. The other one, Mauri, is more higher temperament dog, more energetic dog, when you will see what happens with Mahis. And the idea here was to enhance the cooperation and reward my puppy. I wanted to shape a little bit so that I'm waiting that my dog is first active towards me, and then I'm going to reward my dog. Well, it worked pretty nicely with Mauri, but not so well with Mahis. You will see. So I want to have a little mention here. So when I want to make those puppies active, I'm only teaching them to search the eye contact or search the contact basically on me, like becoming interested in me. And then I run away and let them chase the food. I can let them chase the food when I run backwards, or I can let them chase the food what is above their head, so that they basically do like a bit luring for the hand, and then they get benefit from that. But I'm not yet doing any healing, so I don't keep the hand anyhow like in the perfect position, because this is only enhancing in the couple of, the very first few times, just to enhance the dog's own activity and teaching that it's so much fun to chase the food.
Yo, super! Wow.
Now I'm dropping the food nicely onto the ground and collecting the food. Luppa luppa.
No, kiitos. Hieno. Vau, oi, 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 oi. Oi, oi, nyt taitava. Vau, oi, miten hieno. Kiitos. Hyvä. No,
Oi, oi.
oi,
Bit slippery floor.
hyvä. Vau. Ai, ai. Hieno.
And here is Mahis. I was waiting. I'm actually speeding up this because it's boring to watch 2 minutes the puppy sitting. And then eventually I tried to move a little bit, but no, he didn't want to come to me. And then, da-da-da-da, he ran away. You can see my face. I'm like, yeah, well, this didn't go quite like planned. Well, this was the very first obedience session with Mahis, and you can see how happily that ended. So sometimes the shaping doesn't work exactly like you wished, or half shaping. It was not completely, but a little bit. I was waiting him showing some activity towards me. And now the next training, I decided to change a little bit. I was moving a little bit, like little bit more movements. So I'm walking, but I still don't use any praising voice or anything like, oh, please come here, nothing. So I'm silent so that the dog can feel himself that when he's active, then he actually gets reactions, my emotions and voice, and I'm running away and giving him food. But I'm walking a little bit more here.
Oi.
He thinks of, oi, oi, that was a perfect one step towards me.
Oi, mitä hieno. Hyvä. Joo. Vau, miten hieno. Vau.
Here you could see how Mahis was searching. I offered the hand position that if he wants, he can walk towards it and then gets immediately, oi, oi, that was already much better. And I believe that the biggest mistake what you can do with this kind of puppies is that when you start to call them and being very active, oh, please come here, please, I really want to work with you, I want to teach you now this healing, and the puppy's like, no, I don't think so, I want today if you don't use a bit more emotions. So I prefer try to find a good balance so I can move a little bit, but keep always the feeling for the puppy that it's good to be active towards me, and then something really fun and sensational happens. Then you get me active. But you can see the temperament difference. That Mahis is like da-da-da, coming a little bit slower, and how differently Mauri was reacting my movements and praising. So he was much more faster, quicker coming to me and more energetically.
Joo.
And this was, I think, also a good example that if even Mahis didn't immediately go behind my hand, I was only waiting. I was waiting, and when he did it, then came the praising, and then I let him do a little bit healing as a reward. No niin. So now in the next video you will see the difference after good training. That in the first video you will see Mahis 7 weeks old, where he's more unmotivated And in the second video, you will see Mahi's 9 weeks where he's motivated and he already has learned some skills. So, how fast actually dogs learn if we get them motivated of healing and motivated about cooperation. Of course, Mahis is very cooperative dog, very willing to please dog. Even his food drive is average. He is not so energetic dog, at least not as a little puppy age. Maybe later it changes. Sometimes dogs change a lot when they come 1 year, and they have grown. He's growing also a lot now, like height, not like whiteness. He looks like a greyhound. Let's take a little look. And here Mahis is now 9 weeks old.
Wow.
And you see I'm still rewarding him from being active. So every time when he turns in front of me, I'm very much rewarding him from that.
Yeah, yeah, no.
So he already has learned to do the basic position without bouncing, so I can start to do healing and teach the good rhythm also in the healing. All right. So, but it's not always happening so easy than with Mahis. We have different learners. We have dogs who are highly impulsive, which means that they don't have so good self-control. They are reacting to things without thinking. We can also have some dogs who have actually quite calm temperament. They can be quite low energetic, but they can still be impulsive dogs. And then we have those sensation seekers, like with people. We also have those who like to do some bungee jumps and do some dangerous things. And the same we also have with dogs. We have dogs who like to explore new things and do all kind of things that where the dopamine kicks in. So they enjoy like dangerous things and trying something new. But of course, in the training wise, it sometimes causes problems because they sometimes feel that the handler is very boring and doesn't offer them enough sensations. So, so they can cause us like challenges for training. Then we have dogs who are very cooperative, and then we have very uncooperative dogs, and we have all kind of dogs between this. And it doesn't matter if you can take the best handler of the world, and it still cannot change one dog to be very cooperative if it's not that by nature. So it's not only and always just the handler skills. We do have dogs who have very low cooperative skills and they don't enjoy praising at all and they don't care about the handler's praising. And otherwise, of course, we wouldn't need to have working dogs. We could take any kind of mastiff and say, oh, of course, we can train them to do 100 points obedience. But it's not true. It can be very hard when we have a dog like that. Then we have, of course, differences in the food drive, in the food motivation and toy motivation. We have dogs who have high energy, like they like to be very energetic all the time. They have a lot of energy to give also to others. And then we have those dogs who feel that it's nicest thing in the life to just lay down on sofa, preferably next to the fireplace, so they don't have much energy. And then we have dogs who are very brave, dogs who are very fearful. We have submissive dogs, we have dominant dogs, and if we think about working dog breeds and most of working line Malinois or German Shepherds, they are something between. You know, it's like we hardly see dogs who are very dominant. Like I see hundreds, thousands of dogs in my seminars and I rarely see dogs who are actually really dominant and who want to control the handler, but sometimes we have them. And then it also depends how difficult the dog is to train, that how these different temperament traits, how they mix in a one dog. Because we can have a dog who is very dominant, but still impulsive, high sensation seeker, low cooperation skills, low food drive, high toy motivation, low energetic, but very, very brave. And then we can have a dog who is fearful, a very high food drive, very high toy motivation, and those kind of things, they 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 are all very unique individual characters and personalities. So but because we have those genetically different dogs who already differ a lot when we get them at the age of 7 or 8 weeks, then it's important to know how can we help them. So for example, many dogs who are very highly impulsive and those sensation seekers, they need more external support. They need more help and sensations from the handler. And here we usually have the problem that handlers who have very hectic dogs, very impulsive dogs, they all the time they try to just calm them down, and that's kind of poison, because it would be the same like if you would take the ADHD child with those symptoms. It's difficult to focus, difficult to concentrate. You would put them to the classroom and you would say, oh, today you just have to sit here 1 hour and you have to figure it out yourself how to solve this mathematical problem. It will not work out. And the same is also with the dogs. So if we have dogs who are more like ADHD type of dogs, it's important that we don't do poor shaping with them. Of course, we try to teach them in controlled environments, but they often need more clear handling from the handler, and more rules, more help and more guidelines, and then they can learn better. And then they also often need like moving a bit more, because moving increases dopamine in their brains and they can focus actually better when we let them move a little bit and have some fun. It's like with children too, and dogs are not so different than humans, that if we let the people move a little bit, for example, a child can sit on a pillow, move a little bit, meanwhile he listens to the teacher, it's proven that they can learn better. But if they say that, oh, you just have to stay still and you're not allowed to move, then the whole focus goes to try to sit still, and they cannot learn anything else. So the same is with dogs, but of course we also have to enhance their focus and give them a lot of calm moments that they can relax and so on. And then if we have more low food drive dogs, low energetic dogs, not so more uncooperative dogs, then it's good to do more shaping, because we let those dogs to be more active. Often if we allure them too much, if we help them too much, they learn to be like very passive and just, oh, I don't try to do anything by myself because you can help me to do that. And then if we have more dominant dogs and of course also more fearful or something like this, then we need to give them more time and more bonding, because otherwise they never want to work with us. And kind, clear, consequent handling should, of course, it should be used with every dog, but it's especially important when we have more dominant type of dogs, that it's we are their friends, but we are very clear, we are very consequent, we have clear rules. And the same is also with impulsive dogs. And so we must adjust also different methods and techniques with each dog. So it can be that one exercise we teach more with shaping, another one we teach with more help, and so on. So it's not so strict. We have to always adjust according to our dog's needs. So train the basics well, train them really, really well, because if you teach your dog, if you do those 1,800 repetitions, like I told you, if you teach your dog to do leaning, to do froaching, to be crooked, to do bouncing, it's really difficult to change it later. And you can choose. You can maybe you have to stay with some dogs more with the motivation first, and you have to increase their desire to get the reward. Maybe that takes a couple of months. When you get the motivation high, then you have to reinforce the cooperation, enhance the cooperation, and then when you have those things, then within few months you can teach the basics, and you can teach like I have done like with Mahis now here. But in Mahi's case, I was able to do it when he was 7 to 14 weeks old. But in Insby's case, I had to wait first that his prey drive, his toy motivation, where I can use more sensations, comes higher, because then he got more energetic. He was way too low energetic with food when he was younger. And so I had to wait 1 year, almost 1 year. And of course, I taught him to do like basic position without bouncing with the food, because there I don't need much energy. But when he learned this, I had to really wait. And when the toy motivation was high, and then I, of course, taught him to be also cooperative. That took another 1 month with him. That, oh, he has to like take an eye contact after out. And when I put the toy away, that he still stays motivated like one step and doesn't want to go to pee and forget the whole toy. So this took like longer time with him. And when that was done with him, when he was like 11 months, then I was able to proceed further in the training. So we really have to stay with the problems longer and fix them thoroughly before we should move forward in training. And then also with Inspace, I was able to get him excellent in obedience. Of course, you can always see his personality in his competition obedience, but he is still able to do excellent obedience in the championships. So the mission was accomplished. Here, now when we have an active dog who already wants to come to the basic position really well without bouncing, now I show you how we can take the hand target off. First in the basic position, of course. So I'm praising the dog with my voice. And like I told you before about my different praising voices, you can hear that I'm not saying him like, good boy, super, not like this. I'm using this kind of, boy. Oh, it's the whole bodily expression, like really keep his focus and, oh, something really cool is happening soon. And then he, of course, wants to hold the contact, and I can get the hand away, and I can then click and reward him. But I'm using my voice to help him to stay focused.
I didn't do that.
Okay, so this kind of training first in the basic position. And then, of course, another possibility is if you have a high prey-driven dog, high prey-drive dog, highly motivated dog to play with you, you can also switch directly from food to the prey. So now you can just take the food in your armpit or in your hand and reward your dog from having a contact with a toy. And then you can put the toy later to your neck and still keep and maintain the good focus and so on. So it's not needed to do this phase with those dogs. Like my previous dogs, like Ratu, Inspis, Helge, I have switched from food reward to the prey reward. But the same what I did here with Mahis, the same they have first learned with me. And then if you have a dog who has no prey drive at all, then I think this is the very the best way to do it, because then you can teach the whole healing with food. And now when the dog has learned to hold the really good focus when the hand goes away, you can also do it like in healing. You see how I help the dog a little bit with my left hand, like here, he goes with that way, but then I remove the left hand away. And the same here, a little signal with the hand, and then the right hand goes away.
They've chosen to enter our world. Total control.
And here in this video, Mahis is something like 14, 15 weeks old. Now, you can see here a little bit how did I proceed further. Here Mahis is first, I think 14, 14 weeks old. In the next video, 15, 16 weeks old, something like this. And then in the last one, he's 6 months old. And then I was already having the ball as a reward.
What's your perfect match?
Now the hand is first there, then the hand goes away.
And Athena? Something short.
Someone who wants to pay off their own loan. That's why when we pay off your loan, will we automatically lower your rate?
No one pays off their loan.
Not with you.
That's the plan.
To pay off your home with Skogster, visit athena.com.au. Love us and leave us.
Protecting your dog from parasites should be easy. Because when you're out, you want to know they're protected. That's why more Australian pet owners and their dogs love NextGuard Spectra, the most complete protection against fleas, ticks, mites, cutworms, and worms, all in one tasty tube. NextGuard Spectra.
Ding ding, bang away. Unload. Yes, mate. Hello, my friends. We meet here. Run. You got this.
And here Mahis is 6 months old. I do a little bit running here already.
Show us what you got. Gotcha. Fitness, my way.
Right. So I want to say something about the running and the turns and also about halts and these kind of things what we need later. I don't train them before the emotional level and the emotions are very fixed and very stable in the healing. So usually my dogs are older than 1 year or perhaps even 1.5 year old. And I really want that my dog's emotional state is very, very balanced, very my dog must be very enthusiastic in the healing and very energetic already. I want to have the arousal level a little bit higher. And this comes of course when the dog starts to have more fun with playing and at the age of 7 months or 6 months the dog is still learning this. So I want to increase the arousal level first a little bit higher, and then I start to teach my dog to do the halts and the turns, because my dogs are then more energetic. They can also control their body better. But I can teach these things first to my dog separately. So I can teach my dog from basic position to take another basic position. First my left hand is on the outer side, later my left hand is on the inner side, like it will be in the competitions one day when he gets older. And of course first I can have the target hand down there, then it's going to be high up, and then it's going to be on the other side, and the dog learns to do it also without any helps. And also I'm teaching my dogs to go around me, and I'm clicking and giving food from going around me and just being very active by themselves. And I can teach them like little signals, let's say my left leg, for example, turns a little bit on the left, and then the dog goes around, and he starts to get reward from that. And when one day when the healing is perfect or nearly perfect, we cannot really say it's ever completely perfect, but as perfect as possible. And my dog is very motivated to do the turn like in the basic position, then I can also put them together. So coming back for these first year skills, what is important to me to teach my dogs in the very first year is cooperation and focus after food and toy reward. And these two you have to teach separately. So even the dog can be very cooperative after you have given the food for the dog. He wants to come immediately back, take a new eye contact, you can reward from that. It's different with toy reward, because first you have to teach your dog to have fun, to play, and then you have to teach your dog to release really well. That's really important skill. And when the dog learns that, then you can teach your dog to be good in guarding, like when he has released the toy, he takes the eye contact. That's the first step of cooperation. And then you reward from that. Then you can teach your dog that when you move the toy, he still keeps the eye contact and you reward him again. And then you can teach your dog to follow the toy, which is like close by your shoulder or somewhere like just around you, without any nasty habits. And I mean that the dog should never bite you or try to bite the toy again or something like this. So there must be clear rules for the dog that, hey, this is a nice game and you are following it, and you can start from one step, perfect follow, and following the target above their head, and then reward from that. So these kind of things we have to teach first, that the dog is very cooperative, and also he's focusing on the handler when you hide the toy. And this is something what I'm now teaching to Mahis, who is now 7 months old. I go every day playing with him in my garden. Also, I try to go now to different fields. And after I play and I make out, I often reward him again. Then sometimes after out and the good guarding, I don't reward him, but I hide the toy. And then I turn a little bit away, and when Mahis then follows me and makes the eye contact again, chip, then I say, oh, that was a good idea, super idea. And then I take the toy again out and start to play with him. So I'm teaching him to be active. And I don't do any healing. Now Mahis knows the basics, and now I want to increase his desire to play. And I need maybe half year or something. And when he's really, really highly motivated, then I can start to do healing again. I can do sometimes in my home field short healings, of course. I can keep it like good, but I don't try to proceed further in the healing before I get the toy motivation higher and his arousal level a little bit higher. Then it's important to teach the dog this target contact and eye contact. But I'm teaching my dogs to have the eye contact in front of me. And when the dog is in the healing position and in the basic position, there I enhance the target contact. It means when the dog is focusing on their food hand target and later the toy target. So there the dog is not learning to twist his head and search the eye contact. And then I also want to teach my dogs to wait calmly and patiently their own turn. This comes more and more important nowadays when our dogs in all breeds who are competing in IGP, let's say Malinois, German Shepherds, Giant Schnauzers, many dogs, they start to be more and more hectic and a little bit more and more impulsive. So it's important that they learn that, okay, if I, for example, meet my friend, we go to walk with my friend or run in the forest with my friend, and I'm talking with my friend at home or outside my house. I tell my puppy, who is now 7 months, okay, take your own place. He has to go to lay down and he has to wait. And if Mahi starts to anyhow whine or please notice me, I want you to say something to me, say, hey, you must calm down and it's not your time right now. It's a little bit like the children are now silent when the adults are talking. Sorry to say this, but it's important for dogs to learn this, because later if you only reward your dog from being active and all the time getting your attention, you will easier get a dog who is very impatient and hectic and starts to use the voice and whine and barking, and then it's very difficult to do it later. They have to learn to handle little frustration already at this age, and then you can easier manage it also later, because in the IGP competitions there are many moments where your dog has to be very calm and wait his turn patiently. Then, of course, if you have a very passive dog, like really a bit more lazy dog even, then of course you enhance more the activity towards you. So it's very individual, but always observe your own dog, how it is and what are its needs. Then I teach motivation, rhythm and basic position without luring. There can be some exceptions. Let's say you have a really low motivated dog who have a lot of difficulties to concentrate on you, then maybe you only work with the basic position and motivation with that and so on. And then you cannot teach the rhythm yet if the dog has no energy to do the healing. But generally, I think at 1 year, with 1 year old dogs, you already can see that how their character is like changing, and will they be like good dogs for the sport. We need dogs who have reasonably good energy level anyway and enough motivation, otherwise it's not fair to do this sport
Especially
with
if Frank
them.
and all those foods he loves. That's why the thing
So
we don't have
now
is
I
something
have
free to download sooner.
talked through the whole lecture, and I hope you didn't die for boredom. And I start to now update my
Welcome to the
this
Love Notice
question
tour.
box here. And look if you
Yes,
have
something special
already
for you tonight.
written some questions here. And if you haven't now, please feel free. I will also come. I will stop sharing my window and come back here. Hello. And now I have to read the questions. Okay, so Maria asked me, why did I choose Mahis and not his brother, who is more motivated and more fast? Well, the reason why I chose Mahis was because um, I actually first was thinking of keeping Mauri. So this other brother, he was really playing extremely well since he was 4 weeks old, and Mahis didn't play at all, almost not at all. He was playing really. You can see like those who are inspired members. They can watch the one video where I'm throwing a ball, and he is not really interested in this kind of fetch game. But when the puppies came about 6.5 weeks old, Mauri, the other brother, he started to be a little bit suspicious with strangers, like strange people. He didn't want to say hello to them. So I saw a little bit insecurity in him. And Mahis was very free and very brave with strangers and strange people. So that is for me really important, that my dog is like socially brave. And I thought that it's not maybe my dog if the dog has these insecurities with strange people. And even he was more motivated, and I knew that he will have so much prey drive, he will go over those situations. But it's just the kind of dog type that is not pleasing me so much. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna actually then keep Mahis, and we will see how the drive develops, and so on. He's very calm, he can relax well. That's very natural for him, and I like that. But I also, of course, I like also dogs who have energy and motivation. And I hope that the drive will come, and it has improved a lot. And we will see when he is going to be like, 2 years old, how it's going to be. But that was my reason. Okay. So the next question, do you never train eye contact in healing, only in other situations? So the dog would always look into the target and in the end in the sky. Thank you for answering. Yeah. So actually my dogs, they don't look really to the sky, because later, when I turn, like I have the toy now here in the neck. So my dogs, they always turn a little bit the face, like a little bit, like they learn the right head position, but then they only a little bit twist it in that position towards my face. So also because I'm praising my dogs, so they want to see my lips. So basically they are observing my face. But they learn better when I'm using the target. They learn better to hold the stable head position, and then just a little move, little change happens for them later on. And I think also now Mahis, even I'm using the clicker, he still looks me, because, and I have actually tested this. If I look down like this, I can see my dog's eyes. But of course I have never offered this possibility for them. But I can see their eyes. They never look like emptiness, like my dogs. So, and I know exactly what you mean, because I have seen dogs sometimes who really look up, and they are not really so cooperative, but that's not exactly the case. So I have to update again if we have more questions. Yeah. So, what kind of body work do you do while doing a lot of healing work as the position is rather demanding? Mm, yeah. Fun fact, the horse flicker training pioneer calls the calm standing behavior grown-ups, as in grown-ups are talking, please don't interrupt. Yeah, that's a good one. Sorry, I have to really think about this question, like what kind of body work I do while doing a lot of healing work. You mean like do you mean like some exercising, like if I keep like the dog like flexible in the muscles and not getting like too stiff or something like this? Did you mean like that? Please answer me like yes or something. Because I wasn't quite sure about the question. But if you meant like what kind of how I keep my dog like elastic and flexible, I do a lot of running in the forest, so my dogs can be very free and I basically don't do much like gym exercises with my dogs. Maybe I should consider about that, but I'm letting my dogs to run a lot of free, and I don't mean like running like crazy. I mean like trotting free in the forest, like a 1 hour in a day, and then also so they can get relaxed mentally and physically, and then also of course we go to dog massagers and physiotherapists if we feel that the dog starts to do like the dog starts to get stiff from the muscles. So we try to take care of this on this way. But I'm not quite sure, was this the question? Sorry, my English is not always the best. So Catherine asked, how do you correct a dog with a pace when they move left side paws first and then right side or vice versa? Yeah, so when they are like well, I try to enhance like the rhythm, like really condition the right rhythm since young puppy age, that they wouldn't learn to do this kind of left and right and left and right. In the end, it actually, if the dog would have learned this kind of way of doing healing, it wouldn't really matter because it's as long as the position is perfect, they have a really good eye contact, they have a good head position, they have a good like mood and right emotions. If the butt is not on the ground and they keep on moving on this way, I think I wouldn't try to correct it. But if there are some other problems, maybe then I would try to like reteach the whole healing, like maybe starting from beginning, like having some targets, and often trotting, like if we can run a little bit more, like if I have, for example, Inspis was quite lazy dog when he was younger, like maybe I have mentioned before. With him, I actually started healing by running. So I could get him more energetic, and then he was doing more like a power to his legs. Because if I would start from healing, he perhaps would have moved like left, right, but not in the motivated way, but in the kind of low motivated way. So I was letting him to do a lot of running phases first in healing sessions, and then he learned to learn the rhythm in a correct way. But that could also help in this kind of problem, that we don't let them do the mistake. We try to avoid this and take this possibility away. Then, do you train only at home, a quiet place, and training field, a quiet place? Do you think it's important to train in busy places with much more people as other stimuli? Yeah, it's a good question also. Well, when I'm teaching something new to the puppy, then of course I try to train in a calm place, like inside the house or in my garden, so there is no distraction and the dog can focus really well. But when I go to training field, and of course it would be a really good idea to go there when we have young dogs too, then I mainly go there just to like reward the dog from good cooperation, just like giving him a lot of fun, chasing the foot hand, licking the contact again, chasing the foot hand again, or playing with a ball or with a tug. So then I go to do a lot of playing, and then perhaps if the dog is really well focused and has a lot of fun and he has not so much problems with the distraction, then I can hide the toy and let the dog like search the basic position himself, and then I can reward
Get
him and
down.
perhaps even doing a short healing. But I try to add the distractions and stimuli like step by step for it. And if you have a chance, it would be a really good idea to go like to training fields from early beginning, but just to do some fun there, because often the dogs, they can also condition, oh, I come here only for protection training, and this happened a little bit with Mahis right now, because we had COVID, as you know, and we couldn't have much meetings, we couldn't have any training sessions. And then another problem what we had was that protection training was forbidden or was cancelled in Finland for some months. So nobody trained protection. And then when we started to train it, I realized that, oh, my dog really only like because I went to one training camp with Jani Böhm, and my dog was doing several protection training there. And then after that training camp, I realized, okay, great. My dog is really motivated to come to search the helper everywhere. So now my next goal in the next half year is really to go to the places just to play with my dog, and perhaps doing like a 5-10 steps healing between a lot of playing. And later the playing starts to be lesser and lesser and shorter, and the healing itself and the other exercises start to be more longer. So that's how I try to work with puppies. Then just a moment, let's look at the next question if we have. So how is my routine? I mean, you train only healing by session, or do you train another skills? Well, with puppies, I can train. It depends a little bit the situation. Like if I feel that my dog really needs now to learn the right basic position, I can do more repetition, only the basic position, and reward from that. And when my dog starts to have fun or learn this, I can have, let's say, 3-4 times the dog does this. Then I can do a couple of healing and like a couple of recalls. And then I can, for example, do a couple of downs or a couple of sits or something like this with young puppies. So I can train also other exercises, and it can be even good that I don't repeat one exercise for no reason, so that the dog stays focused and highly motivated, and the training is not coming too boring. But that depends a little bit on the dog's personality, like what exercises the dog feels more fun and what exercises he feels maybe a little bit lesser fun than the other. The dog usually have always some preferences. And then, of course, when the dog starts to become more energetic and he learns more skills, we can, let's say when the dog is like 1 year old, 1.5 year old, then we can start to do longer healings and perhaps are there like sit, down, and stand in one training too, in the training field, maybe recall, bring the dog away, do another session, train like retrieves and send away, for example. But these are like, this is a little bit like the topic of the competition obedience, how to build the competition obedience. So that's maybe the next lecture could be more about that topic, like more precisely. Then do we have something else here? Yeah. So how to correct a 3-year-old dog that is crooked during healing? Well, this really depends on your dog's personality. It also depends on the relationship what you have, you and the dog, and how you how cooperative your dog is, how active your dog is, how willing to work your dog is. And sometimes the best way is to really go back to the basics and start to teach the exercise like to puppies. But we have to understand that when we are fixing a problem, and the dog has 3 years done the healing crooked, it takes more time than it's not going to be fixed within 2 3 months usually, like it's fixed with the young puppies, because the dogs, they often go back to the old behavior when the healing gets a bit longer, or when the frustration comes and you don't reward them immediately or something. So it's a little bit difficult to say. There are all kinds of shortcuts, of course, using some helps or corrections and so on. But then it's really important. I would say that I would teach the dog to first learn to come to the right basic position with positive reinforcement, and really helping your dog to understand that it's a bit more ethical than using corrections. And then also teach your dog to do like one step front, one step back, one step right, one step left, in the right position. It doesn't mean that we cannot have some guidelines, like let's say we cannot like help the dog perhaps with a leash, or having like a touching stick or another kind of stick in front that please do not touch this stick, or something like this, and try to explain the dog. But it depends how your dog reacts for this kind of helping, like what's the best way to proceed further. But unfortunately, without seeing the dog and without knowing the personality of your dog really well, I can't give you a more detailed answer for this. Yeah, I mean, like stretching out. Okay, now Jana was writing here that how I'm taking care of these shortened back and neck muscles. Okay, yeah, I must say that I'm a little bit bad with this, because I have just basically like brought my dog to the massage like regularly, and especially in the training. In the competition season, they usually go there like every second week or minimum once in a month, and also to physiotherapy, and then a lot of running. But I have not used any gym exercises, so that's maybe something to improve in the future. But I haven't had any exercises for this. Okay. When you talk about target contact as a first year skill, do you mean a left hand target or right hand target? Sorry, but this concept I haven't understood it well. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in my dog's case, it's the right hand target. So the dog has learned this, and then it has learned basically like the toy target, or the full target. So I have taught this one for them. But of course, I know many dogs who do beautiful healing, and the handler has taught them with a left hand target. So you can also use your left hand, and if you know how to proceed further with that method, it's also a really good way. So in my dogs, in my case, I'm using the right hand target. Okay. So Jana wrote, would you start the healing the same way if you would have an untrained adult size dog? Yes, I would do exactly the same. So exactly the same basic idea. And as you see with Mahis, he learned it within 2 weeks. And if you have an adult dog who has like no basic training, of course, it depends how cooperative this dog is. If the dog has lived the whole of its life in the kennel and never learned to do any cooperation with the handler, then of course you have to first reinforce the cooperation and get the dog like excited to eat from your hands and so on. But usually the adult dog goes quite fast forward, because the prey drive is often there already if the dog has learned to play well. So I would say I would give maybe 1 month, 1 to 2 month maximum for the food training, and then I would switch for the prey drive if that's high and the dog enjoys of that. But I would start exactly the same way. Then with luring, cannot you get more accurate position? Why do you prefer rather not luring? Well, sorry, I meant with luring like this kind of like a negative. I mean, we can use the hand as a guiding, like as a, and I'm using the hand as a guiding the dog. But I mean luring like begging the dog to work. Like luring is more like, oh, please come here. Like avoid this kind of like begging the dog to work. The dog feels it's like, oh, she's like try to get me like when the dog has to be passive and the handler is all the time active. So as you can see in these videos, I'm also using the hand as a luring or as a target, and the dog is like following my hand. But I try that my dog always does the first step towards it and be active, and then I can let him lure it. Or for example, in the healing, I take it one step forward and then I can put the hand down, and that's the way how you can get rid of the luring faster, because the goal is always to get rid of the hand close to the dog's nose one day, sooner or later. But I meant this kind of like a negative begging, because that is spoiling often dogs' motivation and own activity level, our own um, like motivation there. So, how to remove the sneaking type of behavior in healing? My noise puppy behaves like a border collie when we start to raise food over its head. How to make its motions more loose? Well, the one thing can be that try to avoid starting the healing from basic position. So often the better idea is that you let the you let the dog to be as active as possible. For example, going both the left circle and also on your right side, so that the dog would be like really like try to get with emotions your puppy's tail up and him more free. And then when he does this, but keeps like 1 or 2 steps the legs on the ground, then put the hand down and let him lure a few steps and give the food. And then you just start to like lengthen this moment. So you don't first take him to the sitting and waiting calmly, because often dogs who have tendency to start this kind of sneaking and like being very stiff with their body, if they have to first focus very hard, like sitting in the basic position, then it's hard for them to start like an active healing. So I would try to like basically increase the puppy's own motivation to
Get
come to
back
the
here.
basic position. A little bit what I did also with Mahis, that
Come back here.
I was preventing him to come to the basic
No,
position with my left hand, and then I flip my left hand and let the dog go around and come to the basic position. And when your dog learns to do this, and if he learns to do this very actively and very fast and has a lot of fun with that, always set the dog free from that. Then you do exactly the same, but have the hand more high, that the dog is like offering the sit, and then you reward him from this. And when the dog starts to be really active in this and very confident, very motivated, then you can let him do this, but take one step further and then put the hand on the like more closer to the dog's nose.
Do you need to go
So
to the toilet?
something like this. Then if that is not helping, then perhaps later when he learns the pace, I would just if this is not helping, I wouldn't let him do the healing much, but I would teach him this basic position really well, like searching it, being very precise, being very straight body position. And then I would later perhaps let him bark, teach him to bark, and from barking let him do the same, and then let him do from barking the same, but start one step forward and then put the hand like more lower, because the barking gets your dog's arousal level higher, and usually the tail gets also a little bit more higher. But again, without seeing your puppy, and seeing the training, there can be also some important details which make the big difference, but which I don't know and I cannot change or help because I don't see them right now. So some dogs have a bit tendency for this kind of behavior, but basically these kind of things could be helpful. Then how do you learn a quick and correct full turn in the healing? Okay, like so when the dog does this kind of about turn like around me, I teach this separately with food. I think the first thing is that the dog is going around me. I'm I'm actually soon posting a video of this. Like I'm doing this with Mahis, that he goes around me with the food, and I reward him not from the basic position, just like going around and get the food, going around and food and going around me, and he can always choose to do it by himself. And I teach this first in the basic position, and when the dog knows this, then I give a little cue for him, a little signal, and then when I start to turn myself and the dog goes around, then I also turn and then I reward my dog. And when my dog has a lot of fun to do this in the basic position, then I can do, and when the healing is separately really good, then I can put them together and I can do a short healing. After I can do first like few turns and reward my dog. Then I say, okay, foos, super, like only a couple of steps. Then I can stop, make the little cue for the dog, and then immediately when the dog starts to go around, he must go over my left leg. Then I turn. So my dog has to learn that I will not start to turn before he goes over my left leg. So he has to be the active part of here. And it's also a little bit about like my I have to do it always in the same way, so that my body signals are very clear for the dog. And then later, of course, I can reward my dog also with ball and with toy. But this comes then a little bit later, because I get more repetitions, of course, with food. But I can also teach my dog, if I have low food motivated dog, I can do the same with the ball. That the dog just hunts the ball and chases the ball around my legs and gets reward. Then later he does the same, and then I can offer him a sit, reward from that, and then teach the dog to be active and start to go around me from the cue, and then reward the dog and so on. So that's also one way to proceed further in the about turn. So I look if we have more questions. I think we can still take a few questions more. Okay, so my dog doesn't look very happy, expressive while healing. He doesn't break the position, but I feel he can enjoy it more. He's a pit bull, 3 years old. Any suggestions? Thank you. Well, it's like it can be a lot like how do you start your healing? Like, try to get your dog to that state of mood that he would like to offer the healing for you. You would be like, oh, where the toy goes away or the food goes away, oi. And first I would start so that when I have rewarded my dog and when I hide the toy or the food, that the dog really starts to search the eye contact with the ears up and active way, and I would reward him only from this. And when I get him very cooperative and very excited about this, then I would say him like next time, I say, oh, you really want the food? Oh, you really want the toy? How could you get it? Then I can, for example, give a cue, like open my left hand and let the dog search the position to the basic position, and then immediately reward the dog from that. So I wouldn't perhaps start from healing yet, but I will try to teach the dog to be very actively, that he really wants to start to heal. And he would be like, oh, now the handler puts the toy away, now he puts the food away. I really, really, really would like to get the food or the toy again. How could I get it? Get the dog to the seeking mood. And then we can say, oh, now you can come to the basic position. Then when we start to reward the dog from that and we do like hundreds of repetitions, then the next step is we let the dog search the position, but before the dog sits, we start to move forward. So we start to walk and let the dog to heal, and then we can reward the dog. So this could be one option, that you don't start your healing from the basic positions yet, but you really start to support your dog to be actively searching the healing position after rewarding your dog one time and putting the toy away, or depending if you use food or toy as a reward. And when this is really good, then later it's perhaps possible to use also assistant handler. It's possible to sometimes use like a little bit, make the dog a little bit jealous, like when you have played with your dog and you say out and your dog is expecting the new reward, you can have assistant handler in the leash. You can steal the toy away, put it to your neck and let the dog, for example, bark a little bit, and then you can let him heel. But this is not helping this, like adjusting the arousal level higher if your dog doesn't first have like high motivation to come to the basic position. So you have to build them both together. And I know that you are Inspired member, so there are a couple of videos of INSPI's training, I think, in our website, where you can see how I'm rising his arousal level higher. He's something like I think 1.5 year, 2 years or something like this old. But you can find them from Heal and choose INSPI's videos. So I look if we have other questions. Do you start the basic position only when the dog wants to play, interact? Right. We have to train it first if we have a dog that doesn't like to come to play. Yeah, so the dog must be first very motivated to play with you, and he needs to learn to bring the toy to you, offer the toy to you, and play with you again. He wants, and also let out motivatedly and so on, because all these negative emotions, if your dog is not so willing to give you the toy again or release nice from it, this negative emotion it's shifting to the next exercise, which can be the basic position or healing. So you have to first make sure that the dog is very willing to release the toy and start the new, to become more cooperative. Because then it says, oh, you want to be cooperative? Oh, that's so nice. Oh, you want more? Okay, I can let you do that. So many people don't believe this, but out problem is one of the main reasons why the healing starts to get later stressful. So all really successful handlers who I know and who I respect very much, they all have a perfect out with their dogs. So believe me, it's really important thing to teach to the dog, and also the playing must be first like fun for the dog. And if you don't have a dog who likes to play, then you must increase the food drive and reward your dog with food. But either one of these rewards must be fun for your dog and enjoyable. Okay, I have another question. I noticed you keep the food reward in a bowl, and each time you want to reward the puppy, you go to the bowl and take some food. Is it a deliberate to gain some break? Do you ever use reward snack holder? Okay, so if I go outside, of course, usually then I have the food in my pocket. But in these videos, Mahis was very small, and he was like, all the videos what you saw there, Mahis was around 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks old, something like this, so quite young. So I was still using like a wet.
Oh, stop it.
Dry food. It was dry food, but a little bit wet. And then I didn't want to put it to my pocket. But it's a good question, because when I reward my puppy, and I know this, for example, with Mahis, that sometimes when I rewarded him, he was like, oh, I know this game. And he started to run to the table, like close by the table. And then he was like, oh, I go here, and I'm waiting that you come here too, because you always want to run here. And then I changed the game. And then I was like, okay, I reward my dog, and Mahis ran there. And he was like, oh, but nothing happened. Then he ran back to me, and I was clicking. And after clicking, I ran to the table, and I grabbed the food and gave him the food. So I also taught him that even the food is in the table, it's me to whom the dog should, search after rewarding, and not just run automatically to the table. But this question, what you asked, yes, sometimes especially when I'm having the dry food, and they are not anymore wet, and if I go outside, I usually have them in my pocket, so in training vest pocket. So then they are with me, so nobody's holding them. The next question is, do you practice any specific exercises for working on distractions while healing? Yes, I do, but I would say that this is a little bit not like a puppy training. So this could be what we can talk in the next lecture, like how to put all the exercises together, um, how to um, sorry, my bad English. So how can we teach our dogs to be like focused all the time under distractions? Also, when the dog sometimes thinks that there is a protection helper there, but we still have to come to do our obedience first, and these kind of things. So how to prepare the dog to competitions, and I think it's so a large topic that I would prefer talk this like separately because it's not so much related now to the puppy training. But yes, there are some certain specific exercises what I'm using when I'm teaching distractions to my dog later, but not in the puppy age. In the puppy age, I try to avoid, like, try to make the training very easy and reward my puppies before they do the mistake, before they realize the distraction, and always observing what my dog can handle this time. Do you use any special food or normal dog food during training? By the way, thank you for this awesome webinar. Thank you. I'm using like big keeples, so it doesn't matter what food it is. I'm using like a puppy food, which have big keeples. I think we have couple of options at the moment available. There can be more, of course, but like in Europe, we have. Peter Sherk has one food. I think it's made in Italy. They have very big, nice keeples. And then we have also, I think Royal Canin has one big one. There can be some other food also, which have like big keeples, but uh, where you can choose from. I prefer, of course, the puppy food that the energy and like fat and protein are high enough, so that I don't have to feed so much my puppies. But that's like what I'm basically using. But later is also possible when the dog has learned the basic skills and gets a bit older, let's say half year, you can also then use, meatballs or or something else if you need some extra motivation a little bit for your dog. But when the puppies are small, I prefer the puppy food because I'm doing so much repetitions and the puppy eats so less that I don't want to give like a lot of sausage or something like this. Plus, I need more dry kibbles because they stay better in my hand. Later, it doesn't matter so much because I can have like only one food in my hand, so it can be also something else. Okay, one more. When you enter the force heal command, I start to use the force heal command immediately when the pup is very motivated to do the heal or the basic position from the body help, from the little signal. Like let's say 9 weeks old perhaps, if I put my hand already here and the pup is, I know that when I release my left hand, the pup really, really wants to come to the basic position, then I can say, force in the moment when I'm releasing my hand. It sounds more like free, force, okay. It's more like, now you can do it. And I really want to condition the force command something fun. It's like, because you want so much, I let you do the healing. So I never use the command really like force or some boring way or so. It's always a nice command that can do the healing because he wants it so much. And then I think if we have one more question at least here. If the dog is not toy driven, so you cannot sweep food on the toy reward, is it still possible to reach high level of healing? Yes, if you have a really good food drive with your dog and your dog is or not even sometimes needed to have like it depends a little bit, like you can have like medium food drive, but if you have very cooperative dog who loves the social rewarding, you can get excellent healing with that way, completely perfect. If you watch like international obedience, there are many dog breeds competing there who could not, for example, enter IGP because they don't have that high food drive or that high toy drive. But healing itself is not measuring really like so much the working dog like qualities what we need in IGP or in police dog work. So you can have either really high food drive, but and medium like a pack drive or like a motivation for the social reward, or vice versa, very high social motivation, like they really like your praising, and then medium food drive, or both can be very high. And I think then you can reach really nice healing also with food. And now I think I look a little bit more here if we have more questions coming. Okay, if you stop luring at 7 weeks old and keep your hand on the other side of your body, how do you teach to turn correctly? I didn't stop luring like my puppy when he was 7 weeks old. As you saw, like when he was still like 10 weeks old or 11 weeks old, I still put my hand down there and I rewarded my dog from that. And I can use, for example, the turns the hand, but also in the turns I think if you watch this seminar video once again, or this lecture video once again, you can see the one video where Mahis was 14 weeks old. And every time when I rewarded my dog, I actually turned same time. So I was actually at the same time enhancing the left turn, but also I was rewarding my dog. So we can we can still use it, but we have to have a clear plan how to get rid of the hand, that we don't just automatically lure the dog like 12 months and then realize that the dog is not active by himself. And also when you teach the left turns, the same rules apply there. You can, for example, first make a little cue, then you can put your hand down and make a little movement with your hand and reward your dog from that. And the next step can be that you move a little bit and let the dog move a little bit, and then you help the rest of it. So you can have a plan how to proceed further. But it's not correct that I wouldn't use the luring at all. So of course I'm helping my dog with my hand signals. It's more like pointing out that do not do it like too much, and only think that your dog learns to do a perfect healing by like using the luring and then suddenly taking the hand away. And question, do you give food only for work? So do you ditch the bowl? Thank you for the lecture, it was great. So yeah, so of course I'm also traveling because I'm a professional dog trainer. Sometimes I'm traveling to other countries, and then Mahis gets food from the food bowl. And it can be also that if I'm really busy or very tired, can be that I don't then give the food from my hands. But most of the time I feed my dogs in obedience, or I can feed my dogs from article indication, or I can feed my dogs from tracking. So most of the cases my dog will get his reward from work, but it's not so exact that sometimes I can be 3-4 days away at home and then my dog will get it from the bowl. So sometimes he gets it also from there, mainly from work. And okay, thank you very much for this lecture. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found some new ideas. Maybe you found perhaps some little mistakes, what you also have done once in your life. I have done many of those in my past, so I know what I'm talking about. And so I also want to tell you that if you are interested, I'm going to do my next lecture in October, I think 24th. And then I'm talking about how to play correctly with the dog, how to increase the prey drive, how to teach the out, how to keep the dog motivated when the toy goes away, and so on. Those skills what we need to start to do the healing with a toy, and also those skills what we need for retrieves. So before we start to, for example, teach the dog to collect 2 tugs, there are certain skills what the dog should learn. And I think the advertisement of this is going to come soon for the net. And if if you came interested in to see more videos, I have like hundreds of training videos at our site from Mahis, from Inspis, from Ratu, and you can now become an Inspired member, and you can get 35 € discount by using the code HEAL when if you order the membership within 2 weeks. But remember to use the code HEAL, the coupon, before you like buy their membership, because I realized that there were a couple of people who forgot to use the code HEAL when they purchased this lecture, and unfortunately they didn't get the discount then. However, have a really, really nice evening, and also super inspiring autumn, and I wish you a lot of fun healings with your dog. Bye bye.